everybody. Welcome back to the Retro Wrestling Re-View USWA Podcast. I'm your host, Gene Jackson, coming to you as always from the Retro Wrestling Archive in Gadsden, Alabama, along with producer Smokey. And we haven't seen a bit of snow, a bit of ice. It got a little cold for a couple of days, but other than that, it's just been another day in paradise here in Gadsden, Alabama. But somebody who can't say that, unfortunately, is my first co-host. He's one half of your favorite podcast, P3 Radio. He's the one and only Josh Briley. Josh, how you been, man?
Oh, I have been having to survive the way of the Yankee, the igloo, the frozen tundra, man. That's, I live in Tennessee for a reason. Well, I was born here, number one, but I stayed in this region because usually you don't have to deal with this kind of bullshit for this long. It's usually done thought by now. And I am still in a fucking ice palace. Like the entire city is just frozen and it won't go away. It's rather annoying.
Yeah, I mean, all that came last weekend, and then we was getting ready to record Dangerous Conversations, and Doug asked, well, did you get anything there? I'm like, we get nothing here. He said, nothing? I said, nope. He said, look at this. He said he texted me two pictures. One's of his yard, and it's just nothing but snow, and then the other's his road, and there's still ice, this thick on the freaking road. And I'm like, it's like on a Wednesday. He's like, yeah, sure is. I was like, damn, dude, that sucks, because he don't live that far from you,
Yeah.
So
I actually think I'm going where he lives today. Not at his house, but the town that he lives at today.
Tommy's coming. We're going to hang out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're going to record a podcast, Dougie.
We're going to have Tamale come over. We're going to cut a podcast. But,
oh, man.
Before we get too far into this, we got to bring on our other co-host. He's the owner, founder, and president of STSpod.club. And he's currently Jonesboro, Arkansas's favorite resident, no matter what other people may tell you. It's him. It is the spoiler alert himself, BT, Brian Trammell.
It's
BT,
me.
what is your ice situation?
It's BT. Well, I've been in the fucking house with my beautiful, lovely, nice wife for 16 fucking days. She was sick the first week, and then all of a sudden we got snow. I think it's remarkable that we've been together for over 15 years and we haven't killed each other. So there you go. I do have my own man cave studio. So I'm able to go back here and do my own thing, if you will. So, yeah, it's been interesting. She has had her business closed for 2 weeks. So she opens up tomorrow. I'm going to get out and drive around tomorrow. So I can't believe that, but I will be doing that. But other than that, life is pretty good. I'm an inside person, so it really don't affect me. It's just that there's an extra person in my house all the time. It's just usually me, the dog, and the cat. So that's it. Real quick, best friend Gene, my favorite co-host of P3 Radio, Josh, how are y'all doing today? Sounds like fun. I'm getting buck over here, brought to you by Jolly Royal Furniture. Open account or reopen an old account, and that's 122 South Main Street in Memphis, Tennessee. We also have Spaghetti Warehouse at 40 West Hulling Avenue in Memphis, and they're not a sponsor yet, but at 4673 Elvis Presley Boulevard, Suite 1, is Greg's Store for Men. That's right, Greg's Store for Men. I did have
wear it out, y'all.
I had a couple. Jeff Jarrett got his suit last week.
It was. I had a couple of things. I want to shout out to Steve Crawford. He's the one that confirmed about. I said something about the barroom brawlers and then working at ICW. He confirmed that last week, and I forgot to say it. I also was talking on Patreon, and I said Marco Stunt should have done the Thez press. I meant to say Marco Harris, and by listening to what Josh said, it totally changed what I was saying because Josh was actually talking about him being on somebody's leg because it was Marco Stunt instead of Marco Harris. and I had no idea what you were saying until I re-listened to the show. Also, we've got a demand for butthole match T-shirts, so I'll let you know that you get that butthole match T-shirt going. And my toaster oven still is not cooking the coffee, so if someone can help me with that, I'd appreciate it. I did that again this morning, by the way.
Cracking beans, it'll toast or roast better.
If you do it one more time, it's a Sunday tradition at that point. You kind of have to do it after that. So
I went into the kitchen and I was like, why is the toaster oven on? And then looked over at the coffee maker and it was off. I was like, oh, what a fucking idiot. But yeah, I blame it on not having caffeine yet and eating gummies before I go to sleep. So there you go.
That'll work. This may be an interesting show because, as I was telling you before we got on here, BT, that at 5 o'clock this morning, I still couldn't go to sleep, and I finally fell asleep sometime between 5 and 6 and got up at 8 to do this. So, and I was told last week by our friend Rob Helt that I sounded like shit on the show. He's like, "Are you sick or something? You sounded like shit." I'm like, "Yeah, kind of. I've been a little under the weather." I said, "My voice has been terrible." But hopefully we'll make a full recovery. Mentioning hearing from Rob, I just want to take a moment. I haven't done this in a while, just to thank all the listeners that message each one of us and tell us what they like about the show or their own stories from at the time when they were watching or shows they went to in their youth or whatever. That's my favorite part about this show is getting the feedback and knowing that people are listening and they're enjoying it, and it's something they look forward to in their week, and that's what helps me, even if I've only slept for 2 hours, get up and do this because I know there's people that enjoy it, and that's awesome. So no matter how you get this, whether you're listening to it on WrestleCopia, whether you're watching it on the Retro Wrestling Archive YouTube channel, or if you do a little of both, we thank you, we appreciate you, and keep listening. It's something new all the time with 1991. When we've talked about it, where 93 at different points would fall into just weeks and weeks of we're just getting through this now. We're not exactly having fun, but this is kind of up and down. This week's show, I don't know. We'll talk about it as we go along. The first time I sat and watched it, I was like, I was a little underwhelmed, I guess, because we get through the first 20 minutes of this show is nothing but recaps and videos from last week. So that bugged me. But then the things that did go on, there's some pretty good stuff. I've got a couple of clips here that I think we're going to have fun watching. And, of course, this is the July 13th, 1991 episode of USWA Championship Wrestling. We got Dave Brown and Michael St. John both here in the studio, and they talked about what a wild week it had been. And how the previous week we had what they called the closest thing to a full-blown riot they've ever witnessed. I don't know. We didn't really talk, heavily about how wild last week got. But as far as what we've seen in 91, where do you guys think last week ranks for y'all? I don't know. It didn't stand out for me. But once I went back and watched it, I was like, man, that did get pretty crazy.
Yeah, to me, immediately, I commented on the show last week. It was like somebody pissed Jarrett off, or he was pissed off at what he was seeing before he come out and started hitting everybody for real. And that's when I was like, oh shit, this is something else. And Fuller, he is just like beside himself, and he's trying to be vicious, but. Yeah, I mean, it was this level of chaos, but to me personally, it's not it's not as intense as the Texas versus Tennessee was when Embry and Pritchard were interfering in every match. It was not as chaotic as that.
I liked it. I felt like it was Memphis wrestling. I guess, we have such a history of watching Memphis wrestling. It just felt like one of those shows where there was a lot of crap going on, but it didn't seem like it was over the top, but they really put it over on at the very front. My deal with all of this is this whole buildup of, is Lawler going to get Embry? He's going to take care of Embry and get his hands on him finally, and I think they've done a really good job doing that.
Yes, Dave and Michael St. John dropped some names of who we're going to be seeing today. Eric Embry, Jerry Lawler, Jarrett Fuller, the Barroom Brawlers, Superstar Bill Dundee, Dirty White Boy and Dirty White Girl, Dr. Tom Pritchard, and Miss Texas, to name a few. And so that's when we go right into the video recap. We see the Barroom Brawlers storming out with chairs during Jarrett and Fuller's promo. We see a clip from the tag team match where Jarrett and Fuller, end up getting involved, and there's chairs all between this angle and then Lawler and Embry. There's just chairs. I mean, they should have got a chair, someone to sponsor them that was some kind of chair sales or something, because, good Lord, everybody was using them. And I still hadn't gotten over Jeff coming off the top rope with a chair shot to poor Judge Dredd in that cage match. Just looked brutal. But yeah, to your point, Josh, it never really occurred to me in the past, but I watched a couple of shows that popped up, like one from early 92 and one from later 92. And Jeff Jarrett's just swinging for the fences every time he gets a steel chair in his hand, whether it's here in 91 or you jump ahead to the next year. And of course, he spent most of that year feuding with the Moondogs, so you have to become proficient with a chair. Right. But I never thought of, Jeff Jarrett being the chairman of USWA, but damn, he's making a case for it.
No, it's almost like he knows the guy that's got the insurance policy or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just that, people think I'm, the promoter's son and they can take advantage of me, and I'm not, I'm just a kid, and I'm going to show them, by God, I can get there and hang with everybody.
It may be, though, honestly, the Tojo influence, because he's one that you hear multiple guys have said before. Sell the punch or sell this, and they do whatever, make the face. They're like, no, and then they apply it. That's how you make the face, because they that really, really just intense shit.
Yeah, I was listening to an old interview I come across where Scott Bowden was talking to Jeff Jarrett. And Jarrett talked about how Tojo played such a huge factor in his early days, and the fact that they put him, they kept switching up in Memphis, but on the loops for I think he said 13 weeks, he wrestled Akio Sato every night with Tojo at ringside. And he said that to him that was like where he learned to work, because he'd be out there. He knew if he screwed up, Tojo was going to crack him with the stick, and Sato would get him back on, board. But then when they get to the dressing room every night, it wasn't just, hey, good match, kid. They would set him down and go, you need to do this better. You should have did this here. You should have did that there. And he said he learned a ton from those two guys. And I just thought that was interesting, because Akio Sato is not a guy you hear getting a lot of props. And, by a lot of accounts, he probably should. He was, more talented, I think, than he gets credit for.
I was gonna email Jeff and ask him why he decided to start swinging chairs like that in 1991, and didn't think about it until Saturday. And then they were promoting a huge event in Atlanta yesterday for the podcast, him and Conrad. So I didn't bother him, but I'm going to try to do that this week, just to see if there was a reason. Sometimes he's just comes back with. I always say, do you remember? Or this is a weird question. And sometimes he'll just say, I don't remember, Brian. So, but yeah, there was a change. Something happened, and I don't know if it might have been Fuller that said, or somebody might have hit him. You think about that. Someone might have potatoed him, and he said, I'm tired of this bullshit, so I'm gonna start swinging for the fences. But yeah, something happened in the last couple of weeks, so I'll try to get to the bottom of it.
I'm sure people get nervous, and anytime they get an email from Brian Trammell that said this is going to be a weird question, they're like, oh no. Oh yeah, you can also ask him where he got that suit, because if he says Greg's, we're all going to pop. That's going to be.
Oh yeah, I need to ask him about the suit too. Jeff and Bruno are fantastic about answering some of the stupidest, weirdest questions that when we're watching it, we found out where they filmed a certain video. By the way, Gene, I found out the answer to our question. We'll talk about that this coming Saturday. What the story is, what it was, and what it is, and everything. So, yeah, both of those guys are super about answering questions really quick. Brandon Baxter, on the other hand, sometimes answers questions, but then sometimes I never hear from him. But those two guys answer within a day, which is kind of crazy considering their life is so busy. So
Yeah, especially Jeff.
yeah, especially Jeff. Jeff has still been, after all these years, he's always makes communication. Always says something. Me and him saw each other at I always say Starcast. I said it right. Starcast, and we talked. He told everyone to run away from me because I was a stooge, but he was just fucking around. But yeah, it was good to see him, and the thing about it is, you got people like that when they were coming up, they still act the same as they did, back then, and it means a lot to me. So
Jeff's a good guy, and there's a lot of people that just have a blind hatred for him because he was good at his heel character, and they feel some sort of way about him running TNA and being the world champion. My wife, for instance, can't stand Jeff Jarrett. Anytime he comes on the screen, she wants to get up and leave the freaking room. Can't stand him. Whenever we was at a couple of different places and I got a picture with him, she stood 15. She's like, I don't know, I'm good. So I was like, he's a good guy. Like, I don't know why. She's like, he's always such an asshole on TV. I'm like, that's what he was supposed to be. Anyway, we're going a whole different direction.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No problem. I started us down that path talking about the interview with Jeff, so we're good. So then we see, some scenes from the angle with Lawler and Embry, some of the stuff from last week, the chair throwing incident, and the chair that hit his head that wasn't the chair they thought it was that we talked about last week, and people throwing chairs and all that good stuff. And then so, like I said, 20 minutes into the show, we get to our first thing that's happening live in the studio. And I thought I'd mention, too, it's funny because I actually watched this show last year because I had Bob Smith from Pro Wrestling Illustrated, who does the Outdated Wrestling Hour. I did his podcast, and he did mine, and so I wanted to review the episode that he was on. But he didn't really quite get the format, and so I would try to ask him about this show, and we'd go off in another direction, and that happened through the whole thing. So we never really talked about anything besides his segment. So this will all be new to people who heard that show. Eric Embry comes out, and he calls out referee Paul Neighbors.
Do I need to take my shirt off?
And no, you're good. Paul Neighbors is in his ref shirt. He's even got it tucked in at the time. He's not that guy yet, but I've got this clipped up. Now, to be fair, if you watch this episode, we're fans of Embry on here, and we think, fuck, this went on forever. This was the longest goddamn segment I've ever seen in my life. But I've clipped some of the highlights out because Eric Embry wants to know, do you love me, man? Do you love me?
While we're waiting for him, let me ask you a couple questions, Dave. The referee stopped a match of mine with Jerry Lawler because I was bleeding too bad. Well, that's kind of got me confused. Since I've been here, would you say that Eddie Marlin, Paul Neighbors, Frank Morrell, anybody with Jarrett Promotions loves me?
No.
Would you say they even like me? Do they even like me?
Well, probably not.
What about you? Do you like me? Be honest. Do you like me?
Be honest?
Be honest.
I'd just as soon not be interviewing you right now.
That's what's got me concerned. Come on over here, neighbors. Because... Come here, neighbors. Don't worry, I ain't gonna beat you up. I ain't gonna hit you. I ain't gonna do nothing. I want to ask you some questions.
That's important.
No, I ain't gonna do nothing. Come here. I'm gonna ask you a question. You love me? You like me? Do you hate me? You don't hate me either? Yes. You say you don't like me, you don't love me, but you're concerned about me. You was worried about me. You was afraid Lawler was going to hurt me or something? Yep. No, I wasn't worried about Lawler going to hurt me. You're contradicting yourself. But let me ask you this. If you was at your home and say a burglar come in, you got any kids? You got an old lady? Yes. I don't see how as ugly as you are, but anyway. Say you had a couple kids at home and a burglar come in and shot them. Bang, bang. Shot them dead, man. And then the burglar took advantage of your wife while you was watching. And then here comes a policeman in. And that policeman starts beating that burglar up. Would you say, oh, whoa, Mr. Policeman, that's police brutality. Listen, pull him off. Let's stop this. Let him have a fair trial. Would you do that?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Well, what are you saying? I don't understand. You don't like me, you don't care about me, but you're concerned about my health. Well, Mr. Now, let me explain something to you. Because with friends like this, Dave, I don't ever need no enemies around this place. What I want you to do, I want you to not care about my welfare, not care about my well-being, not care about my health. I actually want you to hate me. Because I don't ever want you to stop a match again, man. Because I had Lawler beat half to death. And you know it, Eddie Marlin knows it, Lawler knows it, and all these ignorant people know that Jerry Lawler could never beat me if I wrestled him 25 times a day. So they cocked up this way to raise Lawler's hand, technical victory, and goes down in the records books, Lawler beating Embry. Well, neighbors, I want you to hate me. I want you to hate me just like a burglar that come into your house and tied you up, made you watch him have fun with your old lady. That shot your kids. And you know how I'm going to do that? You know how I'm going to make sure you never stop one of my matches again? You know how I'm going to do that? Oh.
Come on, Dave.
This is ridiculous. Okay.
Scissors.
What are you doing?
What is he doing? He's cutting his hair.
Somebody in the back, come on out here. We
gotta
need
get
some help for Paul. Oh, he's cutting his hair. Come on, Embry. You came out here saying you weren't going to... there's some help. Eddie Marlin. Yeah, Eddie Marlin's got him by the hair.
Hey, you some old man. You just made the biggest mistake of your life by laying those fingers on me, because I'm fixing to beat your old brains.
This is ridiculous.
Yes, Dave
get
channeled
that?
Corey Macklin hard right there.
Yeah, we had we got to hear Randy Hales say big move on the 87 one, and then this is ridiculous. So there you go.
What about this scenario that Embry lays out for Paul Neighbors?
It was fucking tremendous. Like I laughed so goddamn hard when I watched this. Like this is again, I feel like I'm saying this over and over. This isn't one my granny taped. I don't know, for whatever reason, maybe she was gone, but I never saw this. And I had to rewind it again and just hear that line again. It's like, did he really say that? That is fucking bizarre.
And then he doubled down on it and said it because I figured Dave was probably, his head was probably about to explode. And then he comes back around to it and he's like the robber that comes in and makes you watch him have fun with your old lady, then shoot your kids. I was like, God damn. Oh man, but I mean,
I loved it.
Did you notice?
It went on
Did
a
you
while,
notice?
but it was great.
Did you notice though? Like he cut Paul Neighbors' hair, but it was like in the back. Paul was like, "Hey man, just about an inch or so off the back. That's it." Because he just shortened his ponytail.
And he must like Paul Neighbors because he went easy on him on that first punch.
Oh yeah,
You can tell it didn't touch him because it took Neighbors a second to sell it. He's like, oh, and he falls over. So clearly he liked Paul Neighbors because he.
What was up with Embry's hair though? It's usually wet or so. It was so dry looking.
It must have been cold in the studio, and he didn't want to like put water all over his head. But yeah, it looked like a. It almost looked like he was wearing a toboggan or something because it was all puffed out. And I was like, "Oh shit, it's not wet."
This is the episode I watched last year that made me say that Eric Embry in '91 looked like Adrian Adonis just because he was getting heavier by the week, and that hair on this particular one, his hair just looked like Adrian Adonis. You know, Adrian Adonis came out there looking like he just got out of bed and went straight to the ring. You know, the hair just all crazy, but. So what this sets up, I cut a lot of this out because, like, again, this was literally like a 8 or 9 minute segment if you go beginning to end. But Embry was mad. Paul Neighbors stopped the match. It was a lumberjack match, and so he stopped the match because Eric Embry was bleeding too much, which always is laughable in Memphis. You know, when you think about past matches, and so Embry saying, all right, if that's going to be the case, I'm going to make it to where, you know, you won't ever feel bad for me again. You won't ever stop another one of my matches for my welfare. And I loved how Embry called him out on what a contradiction it was to say that he doesn't like him, but yet he did that for Embry's own good. Eventually, right after the Eddie Marlin pulls him off by the hair, that's where it really goes on and on to me, and it kind of started to like lose interest. It's like, all right, we've made our point. This ends up being a angle to set up a 2-on-1 match with Eddie Marlin and Paul Neighbors together against Eric Embry, where Neighbors and Marlin's hair is at stake. So,
and by the way, not to step on Eugene, but Paul Neighbors was the very first one to accept the challenge. Eddie Marlin acted like he didn't want to, and he's like, "Me versus you, yeah, you go whoop me, but me and somebody else, no, you can't whoop us."
yeah, and Eddie Marlin only took the challenge because Eric called him a coward. I'm gonna show you I ain't no coward. At least he didn't call himself the star of the show, but Embry did, and I guess that's kind of why the thing drug on so long. Is you had to kind of drag it out where Embry, goads Eddie Marlin into being in this match. So there you go. That's our first, like I say, first big live angle of the episode here, and then we take a break, and when we come back, Jeff Jarrett and Robert Fuller comes out, and my God, Robert Fuller is pissed off like somebody shit in his cowboy hat. I mean, this is the most livid we've probably ever seen him, but definitely since his return as a quote-unquote good guy here in Memphis. But let's hear a little piece of this. This isn't the whole thing, but mostly I want everybody to hear and see Robert Fuller's part in this if you hadn't seen this episode. Because, I mean, you talking about making you believe, by the end of this, you think Barroom's Brawlers did something to this dude. Check it out.
Right here no longer have the USWA world titles.
I hope you don't expect any smiles out of me. I hope these people out here ain't looking for me to be real happy, because this ain't a happy day in my life. I want you to tell me right now how you figure that you can have a rule that says disqualification means belts change. You don't even go and properly tell the people that are involved in it. USWA, I'm mad, and I want you to know it. Jeff, I'm mad at you. I'm mad at myself. I'm mad at everybody. We said we weren't going to lose those damn titles. We said, hey, get your hands off of me. I'm telling you the way it is. We were going to come in here. We was going to win every night. And that we did. We went down to a ring, Dave Brown, where the boys were standing in the middle of the ring with 2 chairs. And it took the referee 3 minutes to get them calmed down, to get the chairs out so we could get into the ring. Those chairs were put under the ring. And, buddy, before that match was over, they was used. And they was used by me and Jeff Jarrett. Because you boys asked for it. That's why they were used. I'm going to tell you, that's the reason I'm standing here beside you today. Because we were not beat. We were not close to being beat. The damn team can't beat us.
Well, Dave, Robert's upset, and I am too, and let's try to get a little logic into this illogical situation. Let's look at who we lost the belts to and how we lost them. That's right, just like Robert said. Yeah, they brought the chairs to the ring, and they bought brass knucks and everything else they could find. And we took enough of it, and finally we used the chairs, and we used the chains. Sure we did. And we beat them boys for 10 minutes straight, and me and Robert, neither one of our shoulders, me and Robert's shoulders were never close to that mat. So you want to call yourself champions? No, you're looking at the true champions. Because you guys make me sick. You don't even own a pair of wrestling boots, own a pair of wrestling tights, a jacket. You don't have one bit of class about you at all, and you want to call yourself champions?
Woo. Them boys is mad, especially Robert Fuller. My goodness.
Yeah, I got like half-ass nervous, dude, like I would with my dad if I ever came in late or something. Like, can you imagine? He was like father rage out there. But, it kind of served the purpose, though, right? I mean, but I half-ass thought that if I didn't know the future of 91, then, whatever. But he had me half-ass convinced that he was fixing to turn on him or something, because it's, get your hands off me.
Yeah, I thought he was going to slap the shit out of Jeff. I was like, wait, now what's fixing to happen here? But yeah, very good, very good. Fuller at his best right there, I thought.
Yeah, I don't know if he was channeling something else or he had a bad week and he just used that as fuel for this promo. But I loved it because we kind of talked about last week how it's almost to the point. I wasn't clipping them; they weren't really funny anymore because there's them out there, and Jeff would come out there and put Robert over in some silly way that'd make Robert laugh. Go, oh, this guy right here, and it just wasn't I don't know. I'm like, I didn't believe any of it. Like, all right, they're gonna have a match this week, and if they lose, they'll break up. But this time, I'm like, holy shit! I gotta see what's gonna happen because it sounds like Robert Fuller's really ready to fight here. And so I guess that's what it's what they call a money promo in wrestling, Brian.
Yeah, you know, talking them into the seats, man. That's exactly what he was doing. People get down. I think they did a great, fantastic job. Here's a stipulation that all of a sudden we start using again. I think this was the perfect way to let the baby faces come out and bitch about it, because instead of just totally ignore it, and I'm going to talk about something totally ignored as we get along on this show, but it is one of those things where if I was the baby face, I'd go, what the fuck? You haven't used this stipulation in how long? And all of a sudden, you just pull it out your ass and use it. So, yeah, I love this. I loved it.
Yeah, I think this was a perfect time for it, but it is weird that, because I forgot they'd even made this rule, to be honest with you. And we've seen Embry get disqualified and save his Southern title not all that long ago. But this is where they decide to use it to strip.
I don't know. And the thing about it, I love the promo. There's also a shout out to Dyersburg, Tennessee there. The Tennessee Street Fight's coming up. Big shout out to Dyersburg and my old buddy, the Golden Boy there, who promotes Dyersburg every week. Couple of slime balls. He called them a couple. I love stuff like that. I've got kind of tired of Fuller's promos as I stressed, but this one brought me back. Brought me back to Robert Fuller because he did this perfect. He was perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And the thing that really sold us the point that y'all pointed out was what the whole, get your hands off me. That's so out of character for anything they've been doing in recent times. So Jarrett and Fuller go to the ring. And if I was the Scorpions sitting back there behind that curtain waiting to go out, and I watched that the Robert Fuller promo, I don't know that I wouldn't have snuck out the back door. But to their credit, the Scorpions made the death march to the ring, and they got to feel some of the wrath of Jarrett and Fuller.
That double DDT for the win. They did like 3 double team moves, and then did the double DDT to the win for the win. But did you see Jarrett? He still did it shitty. He bumped to the side. I don't know what he is doing with that DDT. I have no idea.
He may have some kind of Ric Flair thing going on where he can't bump a just flat back.
I don't know, but he looks so weird doing it. And he, I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at some later videos of Jeff working WWE or some TNA and see if he used the DDT and did he fall on his side like that. So
I don't remember who said it last season, but it seems relevant for what Josh has been through this week. But whoever it may have been Richard, whoever said that his DDT looks like a guy slipping and falling on ice, is about the perfect description of that. So they pick up the win to the surprise of no one, and they call out the Barroom Brawlers. But this week, the Barroom Brawlers, they ain't coming out there. They saw that promo too. They're going to sit this one out and let the Tennessee Stud hopefully calm down by Monday night. So then we get the card for Monday night. We're going to wait and talk about it when we always talk about it, but it was interesting. And I feel like this is kind of like that Wendell Cooley match in '93 where they advertised, I think it was Brian defending the title against Wendell Cooley, and then all of a sudden things got pivoted to a tag match. You see a graphic pop up, Southern Heavyweight title match, Eric Embry versus Rip Rogers, and then Dave immediately goes, "Well, that's not happening. We've signed a tag match." Which begs the question: was there supposed to be a match against Rip Rogers, and he backed out, and this is what we pivoted to on live TV, this angle with Neighbors and Eddie Marlin, or was that just something thrown up on the screen to show that Embry had a match, but now we've signed this other match? Because there's a case to be made for either one.
Yeah, I immediately thought, Rip had agreed to come and do something, and then all of a sudden had something else come up. Because at this point, he's doing stuff with WCW on like Pro and the other like Worldwide and shit. Yeah. So it's probably pretty good money, but that's what I thought. Which I fucking love Rip Rogers, man. He's so good. He's a great listen on any kind of shoot stories or whatever. He's one of the best. But yeah, I kind of thought that's why it drug on so long with Eddie Marlin and Paul Neighbors, because they had to create something to do for Embry for the time being.
Yeah, I didn't. The thing about it is not seeing Rip Rogers' name in future results or anything. I figured they just, in a lot of times back on the posters, they used to put K Fabian on there. He was going to appear, and that's the kind of stuff that you see him do. But we're talking about a sheet wrestler. I mean, this is a guy who is a wrestler in another territory. It's kind of weird seeing that name pop up and them not using him. But it might have been one of those things, like I said, where they were going to use him but didn't use him, and blah blah blah. So.
Plus, this would have put Rip as the baby face, taking on Embry, which would have been a weird fit. I could see him slapping a cowboy hat on and suddenly joining Team Texas, but I don't necessarily see them fighting against each other. But anyway, I just thought that was an interesting thing.
I just want to, what Josh said, if you are a young wrestler and you're listening to us, search out some YouTube stuff if you don't know who Rip Rogers is. One of the smartest guys ever, behind the scenes, understanding what you need to do to be a wrestler. So he will teach you all kinds of things, psychology, a lot of psychology. He really understands what you do to tell a story. So underrated, I think
he was a prominent figure in Uncle Danny's OVW school.
Oh yeah.
And
well, his deal, he was the advanced class teacher. Like, you had to go through at least 2 other levels, I think, with another teacher before you ever got to Rip. And by the time you got to Rip, you were ready to go, and you just needed that missing piece, the psychology, and really learn how to do shit for the next level.
So a lot of these WWE Hall of Famers and future Hall of Famers that you hear, talk about OVW. Well, Rip Rogers played a big part in training those guys and gone on to be some of the biggest stars ever in wrestling. So, yeah, I wanted to point that out so we didn't skip over it, because I just thought that was kind of interesting, because we see that from time to time.
But then again, it could be, I'm sorry, Gene, it could be one of those little things Eric Embry added, because everything else makes, he does the itty bitty stuff that would, people like us be like, oh, this is, but it could be something like that too.
Because even as a kid, I was way over analytical about stuff, and I'm the kind that would have been like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Who was Embry supposed to be wrestling if he wasn't going to wrestle these two? Was he off Monday and now he's got a match? So, like you said, he could have just drew a name out of the air and threw it up there because he wasn't coming in. And but anyway, we've got our handicap match with Eddie Marlin and Paul Neighbors now, so that one should be a banger, as the kids say. And next up, Jerry Lawler welcomes out Bob Smith, who is an editor for Pro Wrestling Illustrated. They talk a little bit about him working for Jerry Lawler's good friend, Bill Apter, and he presents Lawler with a rare 1970 photo of Lawler and Sam Bass that he came across recently. And so Lawler, says that, Sam passed away back in 1976, and this is a picture that he doesn't have in his collection, so he thanks Bob for giving it to him. It's in a frame. It's real nice. But then he sets it down on the desk and says, okay, Bob, well, I got to talk about this Leatherface situation. And so Lawler starts cutting a promo about his match coming up Monday night against Leatherface, and then Leatherface comes out, chainsaw running, and, well, just check out what he did. We'll talk about it on that.
Because as I said, we're kind of curious about what he looks like under that mask. Come on.
goodness, the chain looks like has come off.
Looks like your chain's off there, Leatherface. You know what that means? Thanks, Ernie, for this. Come on, pal.
Oh, Lawler goes after him with one of the security guard's nightstick. And now Leatherface without the chainsaw. Oh, look out! Pritchard and Embry from behind nail Lawler.
Embry and Pritchard out from the dressing room. Leatherface has got that chain, Dave.
Oh, he's got that big logging chain wrapped around Lawler's throat.
Here comes Jeff and Robert Fuller, though.
Here comes Paul Neighbors out to see if he can help out any. Oh, the brawlers are out here. Oh, my goodness, free for all time again. And Eric Embry with a chair. Let's hope this doesn't get started again.
The desk has been ripped apart with the chainsaw. There's glass all over the place. Here comes Eric Embry.
We're caught in the middle. Look out.
Lawler and Leatherface. Here comes Bill Dundee with a can. I can't keep up with what all's happening, Dave. It's all over the place.
Dundee and the Dirty White Boy are in the ring. Fuller and one of the barroom brawlers going at it on what's left of the desk over here. After that goofy... Oh, me.
Jeff Jarrett with a chair. Dirty White Boy in the ring. Superstar Bill Dundee. Brawlers being waylaid by Robert Fuller over the desk again.
There go. Well, looks like Embry has already left.
So first off, I guess my screenshot didn't load. I had one to kind of illustrate my point here. But the first thing that stood out to me was a chainsaw-wielding homicidal maniac comes into the studio, and the two security guards are propped up against the wall. One's got his hands in his pockets, the other got his hands behind him, with Michael St. John standing in front of them as if he was protecting them from Leatherface. Leatherface goes, he saws into the desk. Then he makes a mistake. I'm guessing Leatherface hadn't used a chainsaw as much as he wanted you to believe, because he goes and tries to saw the edge of the desk at a weird angle. He pops the chain off. And so now he can't finish the job. He can't saw the picture in two. So he has to take it and jab it with the chainsaw, because you could just see the chain dangling there. But then he was smart enough to go and slide it back into the hole he made in the desk and then shut it off and started having what my mom would call a conniption fit, it seemed like. He's freaking out. And then the only bit of help the security guards provided was giving Lawler their nightstick so he could clobber him with it one time. And then all hell breaks loose.
But God, man, it was as another wrestler would say, it was clobbering time. He knocked the shit out of him. It was almost like he made whoever was playing Leatherface that day pay for fucking the angle up in his eyes right there in front of him. Because Lawler's laughing at one point, he's like, but yeah, he knocked the shit out of him. And but you're right. The chain pops off. It blings in his head. Oh shit! I better at least do what I'm supposed to do: destroy this rare picture. And but as a kid, I remember, that fear of, oh shit! You hear that chainsaw? He's fixing to come out. So still, I think it's not like this super goofy thing going on. I mean. No. And him doing the illustration of really cutting into the desk, God, terrifying.
I loved it. I hated that the chain messed up for him. I wish he would have split the picture up first. I'll contact Jeff Osborne. He'll reach out to Lawler. We got that photo online if he needs a copy of it. It's all over the internet. If he's still missing. By the way, I think this is Brian Lee. Because it's not Tex here, and I think it might be Brian, because Josh, I don't know, made a mention a couple of weeks back. This guy has really skinny legs, and And so I really think he's a little bit taller than Tex was as Leatherface. So I might be wrong, but I think this might be Brian. So
because I know I know that eventually when the mask comes off, it's Ken Raper, but this guy's too tall to be Ken Raper.
yeah, it's not. Yeah. It's either Tex or Brian, and I think he's a little bit bigger than Tex. So I'd have to see them together. They probably got a match online somewhere, but I think this might be Brian.
Good stuff. I mean, it was chaos, for 2 weeks in a row now. We have had, what BT referred to at the top of the show is like, Memphis wrestling chaos, where just all hell breaks loose. You don't know what's happening. And we won't go any further because then that'll spoil the end of the show. So let's move on to our next segment where they recap what me and Brian mistook to be called by Dave Brown the butthole match. It was actually a mud hole match. And it turns out they've got a trough in the middle of the ring. And, well, let's see who ends up in there.
The mud hole match underway. Miss Texas and the Dirty White Girl going after each other. Miss Texas has killed the White Girl in a headlock, trying to put her on over into the mud. Miss Texas willing to come on over in there, pull her into the big bath of mud. Miss Texas still hanging on to that headlock, trying her best to get the upper hand leverage. Now the White Girl has Miss Texas, dragging her, has one leg. Gonna put her, look out, Tony Anthony. Tom Pritchard from the outside, just nails Tony Anthony and Pritchard. It's referee Paul Avery. Miss Texas in. Starts wailing away on the Dirty White Girl. Taking the throw in the mud. Anthony nails Pritchard, closing that over the top rope. The White Girl has Miss Texas. Hand around her throat. Picks her up along with the White Girl. The White Girl and Tony Anthony throw Miss Texas into the bath of mud. Dunking her on in there. Has her face all in it. The White Girl. Coming out victorious. There's the White Girl. As a mud-soaked Miss Texas. And I've got to say, it is quite a sight. As Miss Texas steps out of the bath of mud.
Woo,
Well,
girl.
yeah. It'd be worth having a front row seat that night. But it was. I don't know. It's funny watching Tony Anthony and Dirty White Girl gingerly place Miss Texas in as you would an old person into a hot bath there. But Tony Anthony did stuff her face down in the mud, so I guess that kind of made up for it. And maybe they felt bad for some of the things they said in last week's promo. I don't know. That's just speculation. But hearing the announcer say when the opponents, Miss Jackie, say, and the White Girl wins, made it feel like he didn't know her name, and that was just what he was describing what he saw in front of him. What do you guys think about this whole mud hole match?
Well, seeing this answered, this crazy question I've always had in the back of my mind about the Renegades Rampage ring, the mat, the canvas.
There it is.
It always looks so shitty like in the further years for the footage they would have on Monday night, and I never knew why. But I thought maybe it just rubbed off, but no, it was mud caked because they're gonna have this mud match, and they're gonna have another motherfucker next week.
Yeah,
I loved it, guys. I wanted to make a note at the crowd. So you would think that fucking Lawler won 6 world titles for the reaction of the crowd. The crowd was going completely nuts when she went into the mud. I mean, just lost their fucking shit. So yeah, I was just like, it's the same thing when he's talking about. I went in there and said something to the wife about how they're doing a stupid mud hole match, and my wife was like, "That sounded like a lot of fun." Well, that's exactly what the crowd thought. So it's crazy, just crazy.
Yeah, that's important to point out because, a lot of review shows, it's all about the work rate and how many stars they would give the wrestling. But in the end, all that matters is that crowd reaction. And so for whatever it was or wasn't during the process of having the match, that reaction justifies it. And
very much
those
so.
folks got their money's worth. But like you said, there's more to come, so we'll get there. But next up, we've got, this is an interesting tag team. Uncle Danny, Nightmare Danny Davis, and Rob, not yet RVD Zakowski, taking on Eric Embry and Dr. Tom Pritchard. And I was pretty excited about this because we haven't seen the team of Embry and Pritchard on TV recently, and especially not against, credible opponents. So what did you guys think of this match?
I thought it was pretty cool because, like you said, the reunion of Pritchard and Embry, and I think that's what's been lacking the last few weeks. It's like they kind of almost separated them. They were still Texas, but I mean, you had Miss Texas Pritchard over here and Tojo and Eric over here. But seeing, Uncle Danny and RVD on the other side, I figured that was strategic so RVD could get his ass beat for most of the match. But no, it was like a legit back and forth the whole time, and it was like surreal. It was surreal almost, for what RVD would become just a few short years later. And with those great guys, Uncle Danny included, man, it was like it was a good match before it ended.
All I could think of was exactly kind of what Josh was saying. You had Davis, you had Pritchard, Embry, all these guys, in the ring with Rob Van Zee. And the thing about it is he can do nothing but learn from all 3 of those guys. Hey, look, you're going to take the heat. Here's you a few spots to come out of the heat. I could just hear Danny saying that before they went to the ring, and then Pritchard and Embry, taking care of him and everything. I knew who was going to see the job, but I thought it turned out to a real good match. By the way, Hog Report, Eric Embry needs to wear some fucking underwear. Good God. And then we also had Reggie B. Fine walk out during this match too, right?
Hey, if you've read certain books, Eric Embry don't wear no underwear, buddy.
Oh, God. I was just like, Jesus. White tights. And why was he excited? Is what I want to know. So what the hell? Y'all are speechless.
Maybe we're seeing the clip of the butthole match. I don't know. But
That's it.
But yeah, if Van Dam would have had a chance to have a long-term team with, Danny Davis and work guys like this, I'm sure it would have progressed his career further and quicker early on. But that's something that, I've had quite a few people message the Facebook page, and they've been putting it in comments on some of the stuff on YouTube, that, a lot of people did not realize that Van Dam, the Sandman, that these
Sabu.
guys, Sabu, start out in Memphis and get, a little bit of time there. So I think that's fun when you consider... You watch this match, consider where everybody went from here.
Well, listen to Wolfie says a lot of good things about Danny, but it's knowing what I know about Danny Down, I was a rookie wrestler. If somebody said who do you want to work in the opening match, I would always pick Danny Davis Tom Pritchard, guys like that knew so much. Tom was so smooth. Embry was good too. But him and Davis and Davis and Pritchard you could see that they were going to be teachers in the future because they were so smooth that they put together stuff. Some of the hardest stuff to learn in the business is when do you got to listen to the heel. At this time in the business, this is what happened. You're listening to the heel but sometimes you need to put a hope spot in and you really don't know where you're going to put it. Just listen to Pritchard, listen to Embry. And when they say make a comeback, you make a comeback, they cut you right off, blah, blah, blah. But it's one of those things where it's just a learning process. That's all it is. Just constantly learn. And those guys are, let me tag with Davis every night and wrestle against Pritchard and Embry. Yeah. We can hear you, Josh.
Yeah, my bad. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Maybe.
And Reggie B. Fine was skinny, y'all. Did you notice that?
Yeah. Yeah, Reggie it was not the Reggie we got used to seeing in 93 and beyond. But yeah, he was out there taking notes, and Dave made mention of him. And like you said, though, Pritchard was, I think, and there's a few guys like this over the years. We've mentioned this on here. There's some guys that are so good at making other guys look good. That becomes their role. And, yeah, I'm sure everybody wants to be in the main event and everything, but you need those people. They're important. This big main event guy over here can't look good if he ain't got a guy in there that can make him look good. And Tom was definitely one of those people. And then he ended up having a hand in training a bunch of future Hall of Famers as well down the line.
Right, right. Well, I was always told it's easy for you to look good doing your moves if you can do them right. But your job partially is to make your opponent look good too. So when you can get that good at making them look good, then you're getting much better. I don't know if that made any sense, but I was always, try to make, I've had people in the ring with other people with experience. Like Miles Long was one of the guys that would work anybody and try to make them look good. Motley Crue, your four best moves? And that's all he would let the rookie do was those four moves, because if he got out of those four moves, then he would start screwing up. So it really is. It's an art. It is so much an art. Danny Davis is so good at it, and Tom Pritchard is too. So.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize, and you see it in some of these job matches where they bring in guys off the street, it feels like. You can have the coolest move in the world, but if you don't have somebody there that can take it properly, it'll look like shit, and you'll look just as bad as the guy taking it. So
right.
It's very important. Now, I did skip over, when we went to that tag match, a promo from Dr. Tom Pritchard, because it was one of his most Roddy Piper-y promos yet. Like, it was I just skipped over. I watched it, but I'm like, no, we're not clipping.
But did you hear what Dirty White Boy said? Dirty White Boy was actually making fun of him, moving his hair and going like that and everything in his promo. So he was actually making fun of Dr. Tom and his Roddy Piper stuff. I thought it was hilarious.
Well, if you guys had any doubt in your mind that our friend Richard does not listen to the show, he put it in a group chat with me and Josh. I sent him a clip of something, and he come back and put, "Wow, is it just me, or does Tom Pritchard sound like Roddy Piper here?"
You should have said, we haven't never noticed that. We'll have to say something to BT about it.
That's why you should be on the show, Richard. We don't notice shit like that. It's in the details. But next up, we get another tag team match. Superstar Bill Dundee and the Dirty White Boy taking on Judge Dredd and Sabu, who just a little over a week ago lost a match where they can't team anymore.
Wait. That was Samu. That was Samu and Judge Dredd, not Sabu. So there you go. No, that's what I was going to point out. I said earlier about it. They lost that loser really split, and now they're back together with no mention.
I guess in parentheses on the contract, it must have said for 1 week. But yeah, you're right. That's another thing to point out here is we don't correct ourselves. We don't make a big deal out of it. Dave and Michael St. John just suddenly start calling him Sabu as if they had been calling him that the entire time. And no more of this mystery man shit either. It's just, this is Sabu.
Maybe that's the part of the mystery. He went from Salmon to Sabu
Well, by any name, he's pinned by Bill Dundee here with a sunset flip. And
which it looked like a fucking flying Melinda move. Like he just stepped up on the second rope with one foot and did a front flip, but had to be like a luchador and like adjust in midair so he hit RVD on the other side of it the correct way. But like, yeah, Bill almost looked like, I'm done with this shit, brother. We're going home. This is bullshit. Like he had that look on his face, like something was askew. I don't know.
I wonder if Dundee was angry all the time. But hell, this is 91. I know better. Yes, he was angry all the time in 91. I was backstage, and he was always angry. So there you go.
He just come off 6 weeks worth of matches against Tagar or the Volcano, and now we roll into Sabu and Judge Dredd. So yeah, I can see Bill being
Lord
a
of the
little,
Mountain
annoyed.
or whatever. King of the Mountain is what Dundee called him, or something like that.
But yeah, that sunset flip felt like one of his circus stunts or something. So.
He got that Randy Hales working that circus too. Y'all know that, don't you?
Yeah. Bo James said on a podcast I heard her a while back that every year they would try to rope him into joining it, and he said, I never did. I just stuck with wrestling, but because you had Ron West and Dundee and Randy Hales, and so our final segment is another promo from the Barroom Brawlers. I didn't clip it this time. wasn't quite as bad as the first one. What did you guys think of the promo from Barroom Brawlers?
Well, that's literally what I thought. Who was it? It was Doug Vine's the one with the sandier, like with the blondish looking more hair, right? Not the one with the black beard and the. In my head, he's Doug Vines.
Yeah,
whoever did the promo first, it was good, comparable to what it's like. They're not as nervous as they were because I guess they've somewhat established something. They're the champions, so yeah, seemed like they were a little bit more relaxed. So the first one's promo came off good. I don't even remember the black-haired one's promo though, so must not have been that good.
They're not standing correctly. That's the only thing. They need to be facing the camera, and I'm not sure why no one's told them that they're not supposed to. Microphone like this, kind of thing. I got a lot of room to talk because I'm always pointed the opposite direction, but they're not. Other than that, I like the Barroom Brawlers. I cracked up when they said Fuller and Jarrett's out here complaining or blah, blah, blah. And then they said, weren't they supposed to split up since we beat them? And I was like, man, I don't think you were supposed to say that. But, boy, I got a good laugh out of that because that's all I was thinking about. I thought they were supposed to split up. So
if this promo would have happened before Robert Fuller's promo, I would swear that's why he's so mad. But it was after. But even though those guys had been in the business for years, it's possible this could be the first live TV they had done. Which doesn't count for the standing position, but maybe
you might be right.
ICW was certainly taped. On a VHS camcorder, it felt like sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a whole other topic. But all right, well that wraps up the show there. So right now, let's take our podcast commercial break, and then we'll come back and see what you thought of it, and then we'll get the card in just a moment.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here. Lots of new stuff happening here at WrestleCopia. If you haven't checked out our website at WrestleCopia.com, it's a great way to keep up with the latest episodes of all of your favorite Copia programming, from the Wrestling Memory Grenade to Regional Wrestling with the Territory Talk, the Wrestling Stoop with the legendary Bob Roop, and of course all of those programs also available at your favorite podcast streaming platforms. And if you want to stay up to date with everything going on in the Copia world, all the latest news, random thoughts, fun videos, pictures, and more, make sure to join the more than 33,000 followers over at Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. Don't be left out. And last but definitely not least, it's what keeps the entire machine going. I'm talking about Patreon.com/WrestleCopia. We appreciate your support in helping us pay the bills to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network running and enabling us to continue to bring you all the quality programming that we offer.
The Retro Wrestling Review. WCW Podcast is a bi-weekly podcast where Gene Jackson and Bob Anderson go back and watch all the WCW pay-per-views and Clash of the Champions events starting in 1989. Listen in on your favorite podcast platform or watch along with the guys over at patreon.com/retro wrestling archive. New episodes drop every 2 weeks, but you can catch them a week early on Patreon.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Sheik, Jared, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This team does it all, and all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling! Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Tired of the same boring wrestling podcast? Need something with attitude, chaos, and maybe just a little cussing? That's stspod.club, and we got it all covered. We've got wrestling weirdness with WTF News Desk, 5-minute time limit, and the Southern Fried Brain of me, BT, stirring the whole ship. We also have rolling into Mempho every week about the current Memphis wrestling. Interviews, hot takes, and wrestling outrageousness so wild it might get you banned in 12 states. That's right, it's sdspod.club or search all podcast catchers for Shooting the Shiznit, where wrestling podcasts grow chest hair. Not sure what that meant. Love my mama.
All right, we are back. We appreciate our friends and sponsors there. It's funny, I keep getting messages from people who hate the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling commercial with Dean Heel. Like, I've had people send messages. Rob mentioned it when he was on the show with us that week talking about Dallas. And I've had comments on YouTube. I've had people send me direct messages like, I'm sure that podcast is good, but oh my God, please stop playing that commercial. Sorry, Jimmy. We'll keep playing it. But all right, so it's that time now. Let's talk about your least favorite part of this week's show.
This is like kind of weird, but it just opened up this thing in my mind. So during the Sabu and Judge Dredd match, where it was Bill and the Dirty White Boy on the other side, whenever Sabu came in like the first time, Michael St. John said, "And here comes the little guy." And then it hit me. I was like, holy shit, Sabu is a little guy.
Yeah.
And then you see him up against Dundee, and I'm like, fuck, Dundee is like right there with him. I know Sabu's wrestling bare feet, but shit. In my head, Sabu was 6 foot tall or over. And he wrestled like you've heard Kevin Sullivan be described as, this motherfucker wrestles like he's 7 feet tall. And that's kind of how I viewed Sabu. He was this larger than life thing, but then this has like warped my perception of him now. I'm not going to be able to unsee. Kind of like with Dr. Tom Piper. I'm not going to be able to unsee it now. Sabu is a little guy.
I see what you're saying there. And, it's not good to. You shouldn't say things like that unless it's Rey Mysterio. You can always say that since he's the underdog. But yeah, my least favorite stuff was just all the recap stuff. Yeah. I was tired of that. And then that Embry angle with Paul Neighbors just went on fucking forever. And like Josh said, it was like, okay, we're going to do all of this. And then we're going to cut maybe an inch off his in the very back, blah, blah, blah. I was a fan of Embry during the angle, but I was not a fan of how long it took. And, they should have just shaved his head completely but they may be leading up to that. I don't know. But all that recap stuff, that felt really like one of the arena shows that we watch sometimes.
Yeah, like, I don't know why you wouldn't space that out like they normally do. Put it in between right before the segment or after the segment where those people were in it. It was almost like people were running late or something, and we just had to push all that out of the beginning to kill some time. I don't know. All right, Josh, what was your most favorite part of this week's show?
I mean, I know it kind of was a little long, but the Eric Embry, Eddie Marlin, and Paul Neighbors thing, like, I absolutely love when Eric Embry gets to have an extended screen time because he gets more and more ridiculous as it goes along. And he's one of those guys, man, he could just stay out there for 20 minutes and still keep just being a little fruitful in his promo. I mean, that's when I kind of think like maybe Rip was supposed to be there. And in Eric's mind, I have to be out here for this long because I'm creating something, or something for Monday night where it's not just this little thing that set me off, which I don't think he would care. But either way, I absolutely loved it, man. And Paul Neighbors got a trim out of the deal as well. The only thing I didn't like was I thought the crowd's reaction was a little mild and it kind of took away from what he was trying to do. But, you can't really say whose fault it was. But that was the only little critique of that situation.
BT?
I marked out for Leatherface and Bob Smith. As soon as I seen it, Bob Smith was going to be on there. I listened to those podcasts that you had Bob on, and he has a fun story about coming to Memphis and covering Memphis wrestling, and seeing when he walks out there and Lawler's wearing that Pro Wrestling Illustrated shirt, which I had one of those. I know a bunch of people had those shirts. I was a huge Bill After, and Lawler got me connected with Bill After also. So if it wouldn't have been for Lawler's kind of approval, saying, Trammell makes photographs, use his photographs if you can. I had a photo in Pro Wrestling Illustrated and got paid for it. So it's one of those things where, a lot of things you get involved in wrestling, and Pro Wrestling Illustrated was such a big deal before, I started getting Observer and everything. I still subscribe to the Illustrated. But seeing Bob out there and then Leatherface, I know it was a screw up, but, man, I loved that. Big brawl also afterwards, and that was my favorite part.
Yeah, that was a really cool segment. I've still got to go. So to me, and this is not a knock on Eddie Marlin, it's just how things went from there. My favorite part of the show was the Embry promo up until Eddie Marlin comes out, and then it just kind of goes on and on. But the things he was saying to Paul Neighbors, and I love how he lays the groundwork. He comes out, Dave, do you like me? Do you love me, man? Do you even like me? Do you want to be out here? And they're like, no, I'd rather not be doing this interview. And then he asks, Neighbors all the same questions. That's just a lot of fun. But now the other segment was cool, seeing Leatherface come out with a chain and solid desk. And I was a huge magazine collector as a kid. I may not get to buy every one of them, but I'd stand at the newsstand and read them all while my mom was shopping wherever we happened to be, the mall or the grocery store or whatever. And so for years and years and years, I read Bob Smith's stuff in those magazines. So I was really excited when I got to go on his show, and then when he came on my show a couple times. Or actually, he's done my show once. I did his show twice, I think it was. But so that segment was fun. But, man, that scenario Embry laid out to Paul Neighbors, that's going to be a tough one to beat. That may end up being Moment of the Year or whatever in the year-end awards for the podcast. But before we get to the card, or before we get to the last ticket, before we get to the last question, we need to hear the card right here.
8 o'clock, again, is when it all begins down there. Be there on time at the Pipkin Building. Parking is free because this is the opening match of the night. Rob Zakowski going against Sabu. Now, this one should be very, very interesting. Both these wrestlers very agile in the ring, so look out for the action in this opener. Following that, a grudge match. Big, large Judge Dredd. Big and large both, I guess. Judge Dredd will be going against the superstar, Bill Dundee. Then, in the next one, a mudhole tag team match. There's some history with this one, of course, with Dirty White Girl and Miss Texas going against each other. This time, Danny Davis has agreed to be special referee, and it is going to be a tag team mudhole match. Dirty White Boy and Dirty White Girl on one side of the ring, on the other, Dr. Tom Pritchard and Ms. Texas. Then, Southern Heavy for the USWA World Tag Team titles. Referee will be on the floor, Jeff Jarrett and Robert Fuller. They frankly feel like they got a bad deal last time around. They admit they used the chairs, but they said, come on, it's after they didn't bring the chairs in. The Barroom Brawlers brought the chairs in, and the Barroom Brawlers, they say, were using brass knucks on them and everything else, and yet they take the chairs and go to work on them, and they were disqualified. Now, disqualified for foreign objects in the ring, including chairs, that's a proper decision, all right. And the old USWA rule, which has been in effect again for some time, on disqualification, the belts do change hands, so the Barroom Brawlers step into the ring as the World Tag Team Champions. Jeff Jarrett and Robert Fuller feel like that they were not won legitimately, though, and they say, hey, we're going to take them back. Monday night is the time. The place is the Pipkin Building. 8 o'clock again is when it all begins. But then, main event of the night. Jerry Lawler goes against Leatherface. This should be some kind of match. You got the King going against the very large Leatherface who carries around a chainsaw with him. What a night. 8 o'clock is when it all starts. Parking is free. Pipkin Building across from the...
Man, it's got to make you feel good, if being sarcastic, of course. If you're Judge Dredd and Dave Brown is searching for something good to say about you, and he's just like, he's big, he's large.
He's big, he's large. That's it. See you later.
That's all I got, guys. Move it to the next frame.
He's handsome. He wears great gear. No.
Yeah, that's why Michael St. John stayed quiet. He's like, he's big, he's large, and this is where Michael St. John would go, good-looking guy. No, couldn't throw that one in there. He just said that one out. So, guys, hearing that card, would you buy a ticket to see this show Monday night?
I'm going probably anyways if I have a choice. It is my 9th birthday.
Oh wow! Happy birthday!
Yeah, I'm 9 years old this day. I'd probably get my mom to see if I could tailgate with a birthday cake and shit, and see if Lawler throw a fireball and a ball of fire and try to light my candles up there. But yes, I'm definitely going.
Wow! I didn't realize our birthdays were so close together.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I was working one of my first jobs out of college. I was delivering pizza and deciding what I was going to do with my life. So there you go. Ended up opening a pizza restaurant. So, but
now you do this.
Do what?
And now you do this.
And now I guess because I'm still unemployed, I don't do nothing. I don't do shit.
We're gonna start figuring out a way to make money with this stuff, BT. It's getting scary.
Pizza restaurant.
Hey, let's do it. Yeah, I mean,
hey, Retro's in, man. Retro's in. We'll get some fucking.
I do have an idea for a pizza restaurant. So, but yeah, maybe we'll talk about that on Patreon. I would go. I didn't have any friends at this time, so I probably would go by myself. But I had a '74 Ford Maverick. So I would get in that Ford Maverick and head on to the Pipkins building. So there you go.
There you go. I'm on the fence on this one. I don't know. Tag team mudhole match seems potentially interesting. I know Robert Fuller's going to be there ready to kill somebody, and I don't know if Neighbors and Eddie Marlin are both going to get their heads shaved. I already know what's going to happen with Lawler and Leatherface because we already seen it happen once. Why would anything different? But maybe we're wrong. Maybe BT's about to correct me. So, BT, take us through the results of the week.
All right. We're going to go to Nashville first. After the TV tapings, everybody piled up in their cars and headed to Nashville, Tennessee for Saturday night. I don't have a attendance figure. Doug is still in the area, even though we had reported the Observer he was leaving. He is on the card in Nashville. He beats Dredd. Rob Van Dam beats Candido. We didn't even see Candido or Doug on TV. Davis beat Sabu by DQ. Dundee beat Leatherface by DQ. The white girl beat the black girl in a mud hole match. And Lawler beat Embry via DQ in the lumberjack match. Then we had remember they're a week behind on everything in Nashville. Then we had Monday night. You saw Rob Van Dam beat Sabu. We didn't even mention that, but he demanded a rematch, and he finally got it. Bill Dundee beat Judge Dredd. Can you tell me, Dundee, are you tired of working all these guys like Tagar and Judge Dredd and people like that?
He ought to be madder than Robert Fuller.
Oh, God. Dirty White Boy, Dirty White Girl beat Black Girl and Tom Pritchard by DQ. I got to use that
Black
again.
Girl and Tommy
when Eric Embry interfered and threw White Girl into the mud hole. Jeff Jarrett and Robert Fuller regained the USWA tag team titles, beating the Barroom Brawlers in a Tennessee street fight. Eric Embry, I don't remember this surprised the hell out of me, won a hair versus hair handicap match, beating referee Paul Neighbors, which I think is hilarious the way. So Meltzer puts Paul Neighbors, he spells his last name Nabors every time. It's
like
hilarious.
Jim Neighbors.
Him and Eddie Marlin, so both Neighbors and Marlin got their heads shaved. And Jerry Lawler pinned Leatherface, who wasn't Tex or Brian Lee, so we might have had Ken Raper in there by then for that. And I didn't have an attendance figure, didn't have any other shows around the horn. That was about it. Some fun stuff coming, some new people coming in. Remember, we had Reggie B. Fine out there. I'm not going to spoil it, but just remember we got Reggie B. Fine out there. He'll be using a very unique gimmick that's never been used in wrestling. Yeah, I said that sarcastically, but some fun stuff coming up. And then we'll have results next week from a show in Jonesboro, Arkansas on a Sunday. So it'll be fun stuff.
Nice. I want to see Eddie Marlin and Paul Neighbors next week. I did not remember they got their heads shaved.
I was in shock. I was like, what?
I need to ask Doug. Listen to those results. It sounds like, he probably told them, all right, I'm out of here. And they're like, whoa. At least come beat Judge Dredd in Nashville, because everybody's beating Judge Dredd the next 2 weeks. He's like, all right, that's close to my house. I'll go do that. But poor Judge Dredd.
He ends up at the Coliseum, too, next week, which is really weird. It's just real weird. It's like, I remember us seeing Ken Wayne or the Nightmare, whatever he was working as, in a lot of matches like that. He would show up on television, and then he would show up for Monday night, or he wouldn't show up for TV, and him and his wife both would be on the Monday night shows. So I guess that's just them calling somebody and saying, hey, we need you to come down and work a show. So
yeah, or he may not have officially quit. It may be one of those deals where Dave sees that Eddie's gone, and then he's not on TV for a couple of weeks. And, whoever's doing the reporting just kind of thinks they're reading between the lines, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's back for a brief time. But I know he's not back for a long time, because eventually he'll be going off to global land, but that's another story for another day. So right now it's time to take it home here. And you know how we start out? We always want to know what's happening this week, BT, at stspod.club.
Every day we do Shiznit Minute. We've been doing it for a whole 3 years. I'm surprised I got one of those memories on Facebook this morning. Shiznit Minute every day. We have missed today. We talk about the current wrestling scene. We actually, today on Sunday that we're recording this, we mentioned the Royal Rumble. So episode 1023 is up from this past Saturday. It was rolling into Memphis 258. It's the road to Super Bout 5. Good match between Mike Anthony and Ray Sanders. And also our buddy, The Gun Show, is back. Really good vignette with The Gun Show. Hit me with your first shot with Mr. Z. January was Mr. Z month, I think, on stspod.club. And we reviewed Michael Jackson's Thriller. It's fun to see all those songs and how you still remember that album and everything. I just want to say a shout out to everybody that listened to Is It Really That Bad? I had some messages on Facebook and also on X excuse me, that talked about they really had a fun time listening to us talk about the JCW book by Vince Russo. And this past Saturday, we had Ride Along ringside, and we had the Dark Patriot and Brian Christopher in Japan. So that was a fun show right there.
Yeah, that was interesting. When I come across that match, I'm like, I'm saving this on my hard drive. I don't know how I'm going to use it or where I'm going to use it, but sometime we got to call Brian Christopher in Japan alongside the Dark Patriot. So that was fun to do. So y'all, if y'all hadn't checked that out, get on Patreon.
It was from '94, and you could see if you followed us during '93, you could see the body change in Christopher too. From '93 to '94, he was off season. He gained some weight off season. So, well, I got to do. Smokey's got me doing 1 minute, the Shiznit Minute on P3 Radio. P3 Radio is the podcast that they always talk about videos, but never give you the links or descriptions in the notes. This was episode 443, Blue Giraffe. Richard does not understand licking children. I'm just saying, well, you don't get it. He had some artificial intelligence. I can't even say AI themes. He had some AI themes. Man, I think I had a small stroke right there. I really like the second one. Richard's still having tech problems. I think they had to stop the show and come back. I'm going to be honest with you. Well, that's Richard. He's tired of AI, but he's using it every minute. He's also an investment expert. Richard's mad because Josh messes up a joke, but we never knew what the joke was. We talk about vacuum cleaner sex. Oh, my God. A Murphy Brown original soundtrack CD. Price up. That was it. Smokey.
I have one question before we move away. You said that episode's called Blue Giraffe?
Uh-huh.
Is that
Murphy Brown?
On screen, if you're watching, he's got it. That's not just a bit. So is that BLUE giraffe or BLEW?
BLUE giraffe.
Okay, because that was going to be a whole different topic if it was BLEW.
The last story was really funny, Josh. It was really
the right height for him there. All right, well, there you go. Go check that out. It is up and has not been pulled down as of yet from YouTube. Only one copyright warning this week, so well
it was
done,
an
guys.
AI. Whoa, that was easy to say. I could see it on the paper, but I just could not get the AI. That was so hard to get out.
You can't say watch along. You always call it a ride along, which, to be fair, I'm convinced it's because the show's called Ride Along Ringside, and you hear ride along. You're pushing those two together, so it's not as random as it may seem to some
Josh,
people.
it's so funny. Me and Gene did Was It Really That Good for forever, and I never could get it right. I would always, is it really? And I did it right this time, but when I got ready to ask Gene, is it really that bad? I couldn't get it. What did I say? I said something totally different. So for some reason, I just can't get shit out. But there's so many strokes that are getting me.
Okay. Here we go. Make sure you check out USWApodcast.com for all the links related to the podcast, including the merch store, all the social media links. All that can be found in one convenient location at USWApodcast.com. The same can be said for DougGilbertPodcast.com. You can find links to where you can listen to the episodes. You can find links to Doug's store, everybody's social media. It's all there in one central, convenient location at DougGilbertPodcast.com. And check out YouTube.com/@RetroWrestlingArchive. Bunch of good stuff going up there. New stuff added just about every single day. Old school shows, matches, plus you got podcasts aplenty. I sat and counted the other day and realized that I'm in one way or another involved in 14 different podcasts right now. That's not even exaggeration. I've got to do something about that. But there are only two of them are weekly. This one and the Dangerous Conversations, the other ones. And that's counting all the WTFs and all that jazz. So if I ever do get a job, I'm going to have to just do this shit 24/7, right? Anyway, check out the Patreon. Patreon.com/Retro Wrestling Archive, and also Patreon.com/Shooting the Shiznit. They're both inexpensive. You can probably afford to do both. You don't have
Less
to.
than $10, and Gene and I are both unemployed, so anything will help. Anything.
Yeah, and have been for a minute. It's getting scary.
September, I've been gone since September the 1st for my job. So.
End of October for me, but also check out substack.com/Retro Wrestling Archives. I've been putting up at least one article a week. This week's was about the 1977 feud between Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee. It's gotten the most reads of anyone I've done so far. Still a lot of love for that feud, so if you hadn't yet, make sure you check that one out. And I've got some pretty fun topics coming up soon there that isn't stuff you see or hear every day, so I hope everybody checks that out. And I hope you will check out EPWWrestlingMS.com. I'm the full-time play-by-play commentator there, so if you don't hear enough of my voice on these 14 podcasts I mentioned, you can get your fix there as well. And check out the new Inside EPW show where I have a variety of guests and correspondents and this and that. So it's a different format. It's not technically a podcast, but it kind of is, right? So anyway, that does it for me. You guys got anything as we get ready to move this thing to Patreon?
Love my mama.
Do it, Josh.
Me too. I love my mama.
There you go. All right. We'll see you here next week for another episode of the Retro Wrestling Review USWA Podcast.